Welcome back to our Gardenscape, everybody. Today we are going to be planting up some seeds. Today is March the 11th, and our average last frost date in our area is around April 11th. That gives us a full month of indoor grow before the last estimated frost, and then hopefully another full month of decent weather to pick the optimal time to slowly harden them off before they get to their final homes. As you can see here, we'll be growing some foxgloves. They'll be here for a good time, not a long time. We've also got some black-eyed Susan, and I'm going to pair those with some purple coneflowers to fill a little nuisance space that we have in our backyard. But a little more on that later. Then we have some Shasta Daisies. Those are always fun. We may pot these up for our deck. This is the first time in many years that I've decided to start seeds this way. A little background on me: I grew up in a home that always had several different gardens going at any given time. My father loved to grow his own fruits and vegetables, and he had this obsession with hibiscus shrubs. As the years went on, he eventually developed a high-tech indoor hydroponics system with lighting, timers, and heaters that basically ran itself to start seeds indoors before planting them in the garden. Well, I've decided to go old school this time with nothing but plastic trays and some old school ingenuity. Here I've got just your basic big box store seed starter mix. We'll use this pre-mix to start our seeds to save me the time and aggravation of gathering up a bunch of compost, peat moss, and all the other fixings that I would typically have to hunt down to start seeds. I'm going to try to do this two different ways to see which way works best for us. Typically, if I was making my own mix, I would pre-moisten the soil before putting it in the trays. However, some past experiences of packing the soil too dense for the seedlings to come up for air resulted in me getting some trays where the seeds just rot out before they get a good chance at life. So I'll be sowing one tray dry, then adding my water afterwards, then another tray the way Pop taught me, with the soil moist and ready. As you can see here, I immediately regretted my decision as the water overflowed the trays as soon as I poured it in. That's okay. Waterings will be done by filling the bottom of the trays from here on out anyway. These black-eyed Susan seeds are tiny. There's no way to separate these to allocate one seed per pod. No worries though, we're going to be using the overseed method for our pods anyway. I'm just taking a small pinch and sprinkling them into each pod. That way we can increase our chances of success per pod and also have densely populated plugs for the garden. These purple coneflower seeds are much bigger, so we're only doing 2 or 3 seeds per pod. They're going to take a little longer to germinate, so we'll have to wait a bit longer to see if we were successful. As you can see, in our second tray, I went back to Pop's method by mixing the water in first. Like he always used to say, when in doubt, go for what you know. I went ahead and continued on with our overseed method in this tray for our foxgloves and daisies. Now that we're all planted up, it's time to get them settled into their new grow space. I'm all about using what you have. I don't have any grow lights, but in a past life I was a professional photographer, and I still have all of my studio lights that are all 5,000 Kelvin and above. The only difference between this light and a grow light is the word grow on the box. Here's the initial setup, but it wouldn't stay this way. I started off with my lights and a nearby heater to keep the room at the optimum germination temperature. After about 3 or 4 days, I noticed we weren't getting any action. Not one seedling had popped up. My experience told me that that was unusual to not at least have one rogue sprout by now. I checked the soil temperature and it was well below where I needed it. The heater wasn't working as well as I'd hoped. So, time to make an investment. I purchased some heat mats off of Amazon for about $10 a piece, and they came the same day. Now we were in business. I put some scrap wood that I had from a previous woodworking project under the mats to keep them from being directly on the floor. I even rearranged the lights so that the light can bounce off the walls and replicate the light from the sun outside. I was pretty confident that my new setup would work much better. We wouldn't have to wait long to find out. The very next day, sprouts were popping up everywhere. By day 7, life was emerging throughout all of the trays. However, our purple coneflowers were still hiding from us. No concern here though, they generally take longer to germinate anyway. We're well on our way to having glorious plugs to spread throughout our garden. I'll keep you up to date as the season progresses. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.